been dabbling in podcasting lately, and I thought I would try a little experiment today. I'm going to actually just upload some audio only. It's going to be a still background of the Project Scorpio announcement, and that's it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you like this format. Enjoy the audio. What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim, back with another video, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about where I think the PlayStation 4 Pro went astray, and more importantly, what my hopes and aspirations are for Project Scorpio, which is going to be announced very, very soon at E3. So, I think to really understand what I want out of the Scorpio, you guys got to understand what I really disliked about the PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, I am definitely in Sony's camp this generation. As much as I love the Xbox, as much as I love the Xbox One Elite controller, to me, Sony has done everything right from day one with the gamers first and foremost. And I think a lot of that comes from just ease of use, a very simplified HUD, a very simple and direct share button, the create share factory that exists where you can kind of like edit your videos and quickly upload them and make very simple vignettes of your gameplay. That's all built into the console out of the box. Not to mention that it can be played horizontally or vertically. I think gives it a big distinction. Now, yes, the Xbox One is an amazing piece of hardware, but the PlayStation 4 just beat it in every measurable feature, functionality set, whatever. The X factor there, of course, is my beloved Xbox One Elite controller, which really nailed it. Now, where Sony started to fall apart, I believe, is with this PlayStation 4 Pro. And I've heard a lot of people call this the great unforced error. And I have to agree with that. This console didn't really need to exist. It didn't make many waves, and it's been largely forgotten since its launch. Now, it is more powerful than the original PlayStation 4. You hear people use teraflops a lot. Teraflops is just a measure of computing power. Just think of the more you have, the better, okay? PlayStation 4 was 1.84 teraflops. PlayStation 4 Pro is 4.2 teraflops. You think, whoa, okay, well that's, you know, double and then some of performance. What does that get me? What does that buy me? And it turns out it doesn't really do a lot. Yes, you are able to push higher resolution. You can get this like pseudo 4K. You get this HDR type experience with better lighting. But most of us don't necessarily have a 4K television. Most of us probably wouldn't notice a difference between the two. It really would be one of those things. I don't think it's a generational leap from, say, 480p to 720p. The high definition. You look at standard television, you look at high definition. That is a major, jaw-dropping. Like, oh my God. But when you look at a regular television against a 4K television, yes, it does look better. But I don't think it's that jaw-dropping experience. And I feel like for some reason, when Sony was putting together the PlayStation 4 Pro package, they really kind of wanted to drive this HDR, this nice lighting, and this 4K-esque technology on people. But I don't think people were really ready for it. And I don't think that's something you want to plant your flag in and say, like, we are defining our generation based on this. And I think that's where it falls apart. I don't think it makes a definitive experience. I don't think that it's something that you absolutely have to get the most out of your games. Keep in mind, the PlayStation 4 is already more powerful than the Xbox One S. So when you're talking about a Pro, you're just kind of competing against yourself in a sense. But it wasn't a big enough difference that really kind of pushed the experience over, to the next generation. This is definitely, you guys remember the PlayStation 4 really being called the PlayStation 4.5 for a very long time because it's not quite a PlayStation 5, but it's a little more than a 4. Now, yes, people who have not yet owned a PlayStation and wanted to buy one today most likely would get the Pro because it was the same price. Actually, it's still cheaper than when the 4 launched, but it was the same price as the 4, and then they dropped the 4 down in price to a cheaper price. So you're getting more for less in a sense, but isn't that true with all technology? I don't think that's anything unique about Sony. So let's talk about Scorpio now. So knowing that's kind of where this is at, I've seen a lot of stuff on Scorpio. I'm highly intrigued in Scorpio. If this box, which remember PlayStation 4 Pro was 4.2 teraflops of performance, the Scorpio is going to be 6 teraflops of performance. So even more now. Microsoft is going to have the most powerful console to date right now. They're going to, they're going to usurp PlayStation 4's dominance in technology for the first time since these things have launched years ago. Keep in mind, this 6 teraflops of performance might not do what you think it's going to do. And that's what I'm worried about. Destiny 2, which is a game that I'm very, very eager to play. Talked a lot about the history of Destiny on this channel and how important it is to me as a gamer and all that great stuff. They announced that they're not going to be able to get 60 frames a second on the PlayStation 4 Pro because it's not powerful enough. And they've kind of gone back and forth in circles. Wait till E3. We're announcing the console experience now, but from what I can tell, it's going to only be 30 frames a second on Scorpio. So a lot of people who thought that the Project Scorpio console would make all games 60 frames a second because you're going from, much lower teraflop count, which on the Xbox One, by the way, was 1.31, jumping to 6. That is a monumental leap. You're talking 4 times more powerful, right? Still can't run 60 frames a second on every game. You gotta ask yourself, what are they doing this for? If they are also doing it simply for this true 4K experience, I think it's going to be another forced error because it's still being sold to the same slew of people, the small subset of people I know that have 4K televisions that are, ready for that upgrade. A lot of us still don't have 4K TVs. And there are so many different kinds of, technology out there. You think back to like Blu-ray and HD DVD. Well, the 4K technology is in the same boat. So it's not just a blanket 4K. Companies are still trying to sort out what they want to do. And I believe it's safe to say that there was a lot of discussion on why the PlayStation 4 Pro came out when it did. I think a lot of people, and I do believe this as well, speculate that it was for Sony to really push their technology to make sure that their HD solution with 4K was going to be universally adopted by kind of doubling down on what they had. I mean, even think of like Blu-ray discs. Think of all the different standards we had of high density, DVD plus, DVD minus. Like, this stuff is still in flux. That's the concern I think I have with Scorpio. I wonder what Microsoft's true intentions for this console are. Is it just to like throw everything at the wall and just make this beast of a console just to see what happens? Potentially. But I think more realistically, if it's not going to be a 60 frame second experience out of the box, which again a lot of us wanted, you got to ask yourself what they're doing it for. And I'm not so sure yet. Now I could tell you guys that to me, this is Microsoft's true chance to reinvent themselves from the ground up. I was not a big fan of the Kinect. I was not a big fan of TV first and only or this HDMI pass-through on the Xbox One at all. I think they need to get rid of that stuff. And they've done a really good job of kind of distancing themselves from, the Xbox is the new water cooler to what they are today, which is really back focus on gaming. But I think they need to take it a step farther. I think they do need to reinvent their interface. I think it needs to be even more streamlined than it is right now. Similar to PlayStation's cross-media bar, or whatever they're calling it now. I don't want to be bombarded with ads and flooded with cells and blocks and tiles. And I know that that's Windows preferred delivery method. I'm looking at my computer now, and the tiles are just ridiculous. They're everywhere. The HUD's got to be cleaned up. So no more just, diarrhea of like sales and flyers and advertisements and videos and all that kind of stuff. That's got to go away. That can't be baked in. They got to keep it clean and sleek. I think in terms of what the console can do, if it's not technically capable of running games at 60 frames a second, there's got to be some incentive outside of 4K in order for you to get this thing. And I'm not sure what that is if it's not going to be 60 frames a second. I think Destiny, going back to Destiny again, is in a really bad place because I've been following people on Twitter, competitive esport players. I follow a lot of those guys on Twitter that play Halo competitively or play Gears of War competitively. And they're all already distancing themselves from Destiny as soon as they heard it wasn't 60 frames a second. That's how important this stuff is. And for the longevity of a console to be more of the same but with a little prettier output, I think that's a big concern. So I think we need to see Xbox really take a stance, and I know that they've been very clear that they want to keep everything in the same ecosystem, but I really think they need to consider at this point either more options put into games or really just starting to make Scorpio exclusive titles that take advantage of that hardware in a different way. Now, I understand that third-party companies probably don't want to do that, or may not want to do that, especially with a very small installation base, but Microsoft needs to do that. They need to sell this in such a way that you have to have it. This has to be a definitive experience, because when the smoke clears and the press conference is over, you're going to be faced with buying one of these things. We don't know what it's going to cost yet. And you're going to have to ask yourself, like, what am I doing this for? What is my motivation for spending more money on something if I already have an Xbox that's going to pretty much do everything that this new Scorpio does? I don't have a 4K TV, so I can't take advantage of that. What do I get for it? And I feel like when you talk about, a console that can be horizontal or vertical with the power brick built in. I mean, obviously we're talking more about Xbox One S at this point, but I think those are the ancillary type things that you have to really start thinking of. And you have to ask yourself, like, can it do something better? Can it wake up on boot, like on patch updates? Does it have integrated video capture? Does it have integrated DVR that's better than an Elgato or something? Like, what are you going to use this extra horsepower for? And if the answer is nothing, then I really think that the Scorpio hype's going to die, just the way the PlayStation 4 Pro hype has died. And you're going to be stuck with these midway consoles that really don't push the envelope, that really don't get people excited in them, and we're just wasting time, There's no way that Microsoft is going to announce Xbox 2 or whatever the hell they're going to call the next console a year after they launch Scorpio, after they've been hyping up Scorpio for a year. So all you're doing is delaying the inevitable update cycle that will occur at some point because you've got this new console now. And that's my biggest concern. So my real hopes for this thing is that it's repackaged in such a way that it does really appeal to more true gamers, in the sense that we don't want the fluff. We just want it to look good, work good. If there needs to be some other customization that goes into it, I saw an early artist's rendition, or it wasn't an artist's rendition, it was a test unit that had a frame rate counter on the front. Little things like that. Just do something that makes this console stand out, that's meaningful to people who, you got to sell it to your audience. So the hardcore gamer, the guys like me who dedicate so much time to gaming, who have a room dedicated to gaming, you have to do something to sweeten the pot for us, because I can tell you I have no regrets not picking up a PlayStation 4 Pro. I don't feel bad about it at all. Occasionally review sites will do a comparison of frame rates. There's a very small handful of games that support anything along the lines of 30 to 60 frames a second. Most of them just give some kind of lighting upgrade or a little bit of tweak to the graphics at a cost of frame rate. So you lose a solid 30 frame rate per second experience for one that's 25 to 30 frames but looks better when you're not moving. And I can tell you right now that nobody likes that. So PlayStation 4 Pro has lost my business. I'm not interested in that. I'm still very much in love with my Destiny limited edition PlayStation 4. And I foresee myself keeping my OG Xbox One unless Scorpio can do something. So this is really on Microsoft to push that envelope. We'll have to see what happens. I'm very, very excited for E3. Anyways, leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if you think Scorpio is a home run, or you think it's going to be a home run, or what do you need from it? Do you not care? Are you just happy to have more power and you just think instinctively that games will run smoother and better and it's going to be this type of like placebo effect? Or just let me know. I'm curious. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Get out there and get hyped for E3. It's coming. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.